Royals baseball is presented by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Today in St. Petersburg, the Royals go for a 3-game sweep and a season sweep over the Tampa Bay Rays. Hi, everyone. Welcome back to the ballpark with Rex Hudler. I'm Ryan Lefevre. In talking to most people predicting the standings this year and why the Royals, in their minds, would finish second, third, or maybe even fourth, they said, well, I like their pitching, I like their defense, there's just not enough offense. Well, the Royals have answered that. They are 5th in the league in runs scored.
It's been impressive. We've learned a lot about this Royals team this season, and one of them is what we've learned from the opposing pitching coaches around the league. They're scared to death. 1 through 9 in your lineup, they tell me, can beat us at any time. But all of a sudden, the middle of that order is starting to emerge in just the right timing.
Academy Sports and Outdoors leaderboard, and they have been in the middle of everything, especially lately, and the Royals have been really setting the tone in the league when it comes to scoring runs with 2 outs. They have the second most runs in the American League with 2 outs, and boy, have they punished the Rays with 2 outs this year. So what have they done this year offensively that they did not do last year?
Oh, they've scared a lot of pitchers, that's for sure. It all starts with Kane. Kane's been stirring that drink. Hosmer is stepping up to become the player they always believed he could, and Morales with that support behind Hosmer. He's a run-driving-in beast, and Musaka says, hey, don't forget about me. I can hit as well. So really, what they're getting is more production in that middle and more power.
And even with all that, it's still a team built on pitching and defense. Danny Duffy gets to start today. Joel and Monty will talk about him when we come back.
And the damage had already been done because back in the first inning of that game, the Lorenzo lean back. Royals scored 3 in the first inning. And as Rex might say, tattered and battered Nate Carnes, a career-high 7 earned runs, tied a career-high 9 hits. And so the Royals bats will try to do the same against Carnes here this afternoon. Joel Goldberg, Royals Hall of Famer Jeff Montgomery right by the visiting dugout. So that's the hitting side. How about the pitching side? And Danny Duffy is on the hill for the Royals. Inconsistent start to the season. How has he been more consistent since?
Well, I think if you look back to the first part of the season, a lot of people curious, is Danny Duffy even going to stick in this rotation? But the fact that he was able to go on the disabled list, he's come back and he's been very strong. I really like the fact that he's been more dominant against lefties. I think that's a real key for any left-handed pitcher. But Danny Duffy is just, now he's seeing the Danny Duffy that we expected to see coming into the season, and really what we saw a lot of all of last year, Joel.
And if he gets the victory today, it would give him 4 wins in August, most he has ever had in a month. The Royals look for a 7-0 season sweep against the Rays. First pitch at Tropicana Field is coming up next.
Ticket you play gives back to schools across Missouri, so play it forward with the Missouri Lottery. And by your Kansas City Chevy dealers. Visit your local Chevy dealers today for great prices on all the new 2015 vehicles. And we begin with our Toyota League leaders. The Royals lead for best record in the American League is 7 against the Toronto Blue Jays. And in talking about magic numbers, the Royals' magic number is 27. So over the next 5 weeks, any combination of Royals wins and Blue Jays losses that add up to 27, and the Royals will have home field advantage. And their magic number to win the Central is 20, with a 14-game lead over Minnesota. Ben Zobrist will play right field. Alex Rios has a virus that kept him out of the lineup last night, and the Royals have already sent him back to Kansas City. Paulo Orlando will move over to left field. Omar Infante back in the lineup at second base, and Salvador Perez will get the afternoon off with a day off tomorrow, as Drew Butera is behind the plate. And for the second time this year, the Royals will see 27-year-old right-hander Nathan Carnes.
This rookie's had a nice season for the Rays. He's been good. He's got 3 nice pitches that he'll use. 90 to 93 with that fastball, 2 and 4 seams, curveball, and a changeup. And the key to get to this guy is to get him in that first inning. He's got an 8.28 ERA in the first, and he's allowed first inning runs in 4 straight starts. So get him early, just like the Royals like to do.
And a look at the Rays defensively today.
Well, it's time for a lot of teams to be showing off their young future, and this is an opportunity for Beckham to get his feet in there and show him he can be an everyday shortstop for sure. He's got nice skills.
Clint Fagan is behind the plate. Alan Porter at first. The crew chief Jeff Kellogg is at second. And Brian O'Nora is at third. Alcides Escobar is just 1 for 10 in the series, but that one hit put it into a 1 for 18. And swinging at the first pitch. Very high into shallow left field, and that's Joey Butler coming up. 1 pitch and 1 out for Carnes. Well, we keep hearing that Alex Gordon looks very good in AAA, swinging the bat, running the bases, playing defense, and the most logical spots for Ben Zobrist when Gordon comes back would be increased playing time at second base and in right field, and those are the positions that he has played in this series. He plays right field for the Royals for the first time today. In for a strike, 0-1.
You swing the bat like he does from both sides of the plate, managers find a place for you to play. Just like Joe Madden did when he turned him into that super utility type starting player.
Outside, 1-1.
Talked about those runs. Get him in the first if you can. The Royals have scored 90 runs this season in the first inning. Their opponents just 44. This is always an inning that they've been getting on the board first. Takes a lot of pressure off their own starting pitcher, so he takes the lead when he pitches.
Center field, a long run for Kiermaier, but he's there. Very good defensive center fielder. 2 down. Joel and Monty reminding us that things did not go well for Nathan Carnes back in July. A career high in runs allowed, tied his career high with hits. 8 of the 9 Royals in the lineup had at least 1 hit against Nathan Carnes. And the Royals scored 3 of those 7 runs in the first inning. Lorenzo Cain drove in a couple with a home run.
You saw he didn't walk a batter in that game. But he's given up 54 walks in 139 innings this year coming in, so he can be a little bit wild. He's going a little bit more with his secondary pitches, because he's been getting lit with that fastball. So he's got a big curve and a changeup.
Right off of Rivera's mask. He took a pitch off of his face yesterday facing Chris Medlin. Pitch that deflected off of his arm right to his chin.
Yep, not good. Fortunately, it hit him in the arm before it got him in the face or in the lower lip. And now he just takes one off his chin. Wow.
Well, he wins my Tough Guy of the Year award. He finished the game. Well, he didn't finish the game. He stayed in for several innings after that, and then eventually J.P. Arancibia finished the game.
Yeah, making sure that all those bars are intact.
Still 0-2. Lorenzo Cain has a 7-game hitting streak where he's hitting .407. He has a little bit of a drought he'd like to snap sometime soon. He has gone 13 games without an extra base hit, but it hasn't hurt his overall production.
He wants him to bounce this one.
Cain is able to lay off it. 1 ball, 2 strikes.
Rene Rivera's got to do a really good job today, and so far I'm watching him. He's very animated. He wants to guide Carnes through this tough Royals lineup. He knows how good the Royals are with 2 outs, and so he's really helping Carnes focus, and that's been the difference. fact that the Royals have beat up the Rays all year, mainly with 2-out RBIs. That focus for them from the pitchers got to improve, with 2 outs especially. So Rivera's trying to help him.
That time Kane went after the breaking ball in the dirt. So Carnes gets through a tough inning for him. The first, getting Escobar, Zobrist, and Kane. Danny on the road in his last 4. He's had 2 very good starts, which includes at Chicago and at Detroit, and 2 not so good starts at Toronto and at Boston. He has not had back-to-back quality starts on the road this year, but has been very good overall since coming back from the disabled list. And here's the lineup that he will face today. He will face an offense that is last in the American League in runs per game. Brandon Guyer takes a fastball up and away.
In his last start, we saw a lot of fastballs from Danny Duffy, and why not? When you got 96, 97 on your fastball, it's a good pitch. Nice little slurvy breaking ball changeup.
Well, almost hit a catwalk, and if it did, Royal could have played a ricochet for an out.
Well, I predict the Rays are going to really be tough on Duffy. They're wanting to win in the worst way before the Royals leave town sometime this season. But they've been really good against lefties this year, the Rays offense. The record is 22-14. They're tied with the Yankees for second best record against southpaws. So they're up there going to be hacking, believe me. They're looking for that fastball. Duffy's got to be able to keep it anywhere but in the middle.
Got a fastball, and he pulled it foul, and Jeremy Guthrie ties the game at 2. It is a 2-2 tie between Guthrie and the Rays provided ball boy.
There you go. He's take that.
Changeup is pulled foul.
Can't beat fun at the old ballpark.
One way to break up the monotony in the bullpen.
No doubt. That makes me laugh.
And now a breaking ball is hit foul over to the Rays bullpen.
Look at Ryan Madson. He's not amused. He's going, come on, Jeremy, you're a major league athlete. This kid's a high school ball boy. Cut him some slack.
Now he and Cody Clark are talking about routes, you know, the quickest way to a foul ball over there.
Hope nobody gets hurt.
2-2 on Geyer. The right field line and foul. So Geyer is giving Duffy a hard time. Duffy's first hitter of the game will go at least 9 pitches. And now Ford gives us a look at the Royals defensively today.
Zobrist has skills, there's no question. Look at all them positions. Very good athlete. Can play anywhere.
Moustakas backhand, strong throw, gets by Hosmer and ricochets over toward the Rays bullpen, and Geyer will hold at second as Hosmer got to it quickly. It would have been a very close play even if Hosmer was able to handle that low throw, so that could go as a hit and an error.
Wouldn't be surprised because the ball wasn't hit all that hard, but Geyer, the way he's battling in that first hitter of the game, you know, he's hungry. He wants that base hit. Nice at bat he's got there going. And it's amazing how many times Hosmer makes those picks, and then he's only human because those are very difficult to dig. He's not going to make every single one of them.
And it is an infield hit for Geyer and an error, allowing him to go to second base. Now Daniel Nava. Nava's been very good against the Royals in his career, but this is by far, at least from past numbers, his weaker side of the plate. Nava has 3 hits in this series. Kevin Kiermaier has 2. Those are the only 2 Rays hitters who have more than 1 hit in this series with the Royals. Great pitch. 1-2.
If he's going to beat the Rays today, he's got to execute that pitch right there. And not every time, but that's going to be a good spot for those righties to not be able to square it up.
And that was close. 2-2.
And he wanted that. That's a good changeup. Showing a little bit of excitement there with his body language. He thought he might get the call.
Maybe getting a little squeeze with the last 2 pitches. 3-2.
It's early in the game. Don't want to let that umpire get up under your skin.
Zobrist into foul ground and comes up just a little short. Still 3-2. The Tampa Bay Rays in this entire season series, this is game 7. They have led for a grand total of 4 innings. So they've been struggling to catch up to and stay in front of the Royals all season. And now a walk. So a hit, an error, and a walk. And the Rays have 2 on with nobody out, and Drew Gutierrez out to have a chat with Duffy.
Well, believe me, Duffy's got his hands full today. This team has a lot of pride, the Rays do, and they're going to take every at-bat like it's their last. They're going to fight and claw. They're tired of getting stepped on by the Royals. So we'll see what they can do. If they can stand up to Duffy and be able to get some big hits, that's what they need. If they're going to have any success, they got to get those hits with runners in scoring position.
Evan Longoria has had a very little impact to this point of the series. Mainly only on defense. He has been hitless in the first 2 games. Two on, nobody out. Changeup over the inside, 0-1. No balls, 2 strikes. Not just in this series, but over a longer stretch. He has just 4 hits in his last 33 at-bats. Great pitch at the knees over the outside. He's made that pitch twice in this inning on right-hand batters and gotten the call both times. So after the walk, Duffy gets his first strikeout.
It's good to see Duffy staying with it. You can't let that umpire get under your skin. You just keep throwing them fastballs down there in that zone. You're going to have some success. Talked about the ground ball double plays that Duffy's been able to induce this season. Tells you he's pitching more to contact in situations like these. 15 of those he's induced.
Logan Forsythe is the Rays cleanup hitter. Good numbers overall, 15 home runs, 53 RBIs, but like Sizemore, or Longoria rather, has been struggling lately. And especially with runners in scoring position, and he's in a runners in scoring position spot in the lineup today. Duffy makes the count, 1 ball, 1 strike.
Now sometimes that becomes a mental thing, especially when it's brought to your attention by either the media or if you read those stats. And I know a lot of players don't care to read that stuff, but it can become a mental burden. So he's going to try to shorten up his swing and just try to do anything he can to knock a run in here.
1-2.
With that power fastball right there, you really better stay short. He didn't look like he had a good swing there. He has grounded into 10 double plays this year too. That would hurt him. So just challenge him. Keep her down. Roll him up.
2-2 on Forsythe. Right field. Zobrist backs up. Geyer tags. So he'll go to third as Zobrist plays it to second base. And there are 2 outs. Joey Butler called up when this series began. Desmond Jennings went on the disabled list, and the Rays have really been hurt this year by injuries. One of the reasons why they have fallen to 3 games below 500, and now they're 10 games back in the East, which is 5 weeks to go.
That's a lot of games to make up. Now, if you ask me, Kevin Cash, they're not even thinking about that. They're just trying to figure out a way to beat the Royals today. That's where their focus is right now.
The Rays have never been swept in a season series of 7 games or more. The Royals have only done it once. That was in 1988 when they went 12-0 against the Baltimore Orioles. Right field, Zobrist coming up, slides, and he trapped it. So the Rays will get a run. Geyer down from third. And Joey Butler giving the Royals a little taste of their own medicine with a 2-out RBI. And the Rays lead 1-0.
What a great effort by Zobrist. He got a perfect jump on contact. Alan Porter, first base umpire, did a nice job of getting out there. Just to make sure of it, man. Nice try. From up here, it looked like he got some leather between the turf and that ball, but looked like it just skipped in there.
Now Tim Beckham, and he's late on a fastball. The first overall pick in the 2008 draft. Tim Beckham, 2 picks ahead of Eric Hosmer. Beckham's just getting started. Hosmer's won a couple of Gold Gloves, become one of the best first basemen in the American League. That's a heck of a burden to be carrying around. The first overall pick, and it was Beckham, Pedro Alvarez, and then Eric Hosmer back in 2008.
You better believe it. You're not only just dealing with your peers with that tag, but all of your friends and family, and everybody's going, hey, come on, how come you're not like Bryce Harper? How come you're not in the majors or in the pros, they like to say, even though you're playing pro ball. That's where, you just have to continue to believe in yourself and trust in yourself and know that you're going to be a big leaguer someday, a lot like our Bubba Starling. Bubba's going to be a big leaguer if he doesn't give up on himself. He keeps working and has that drive, passion to become a big leaguer. You got to be consistent.
2-2 on Beckham.
And once you do get here, it's a whole different ball game. The learning curve's a lot greater. But some hitters find it a little bit easier up here because the pitchers are more around the plate. Gives you a chance to make better contact. Sometimes the minor leagues has got strong arms, but they're wild.
Duffy gives up 1 run in a very long inning for him, and Tampa Bay leads 1-0. all service members at home and abroad. Royals baseball brought to you by USAA, proudly serving the needs of the military community for over 90 years. Nathan Carnes, who's had a bad time this year in the first inning, got the Royals very quickly in the first today. So it's Hosmer, Morales, and Moustakas. Fouled away by Hosmer. Two hits, 2 runs scored, and a run driven in for Hosmer in this series. And he had a 2-hit game against Carnes at Kauffman Stadium last month. Another foul ball off to the third base side. It's 0-2.
Epps got a couple of knocks there, you said, but you know, I talked with Haas today about the first 2 games, and I said, you know, you're a little more patient, taking a few called third strikes with runners in scoring position. He said, you know, I just not real sure of myself, and therefore I kind of got a little passive and was thinking they're not going to throw me my pitch when they did. Sometimes that's the thinking process of a guy who's at the top of his game, and he's going to be a little bit more aggressive. So far here, he's swung at every pitch. Look at, check out catcher Rivera. He's being very visual and animated back there.
Almost like a personal cheerleader.
He's getting in his mind. You know, everyone's different. Every pitcher has their own different style and everything, but they're really thrilled with Carnes in his rookie season.
Two and two.
Leads all major league rookies in strikeouts, opponent average, starts, innings. They're developing just another young starter that they've had so many of in the past.
No swing, 3 balls, 2 strikes.
Trying to get ahead with a heater, and then he's finishing them off with the breaking ball. And in the second and third times through, he'll pitch what they call backwards. In fastball situations, he'll use his curve and his changeups.
Deep short, and by Beckham. Hosmer looked intent to go the other way, and he gets a single to left field to begin the second inning.
And that's a good sign. Haas going to the opposite field, seeing that ball longer. Ball up and away. That's not where you pitch Haas, because he has a good level swing, and that hit is in that hitting zone a long time in a level swing, and he loves it up there. He'll take you deep there too. He'll go with a lousy single. You could steal off Carnes. Base runners this year have been successful 16 out of 19 times in steals. It's third highest in the American League.
Morales has a home run, 3 driven in this series with the Rays. Outside, 2 balls, no strikes. Talking about Rays pitching, it's pretty amazing that they are where they are in the league rankings. They have the 3rd best starters ERA in the league. That's without Alex Cobb, who's had Tommy John surgery. Matt Moore's been on the disabled list coming back from Tommy John surgery. Drew Smiley has been on the disabled list. Jake Odorizzi has been on the disabled list. And of course, they no longer have David Price. They no longer have James Shields. They no longer have Jeremy Hellickson. But you're right. They really have a feel for what they want in a pitcher, and going out and drafting one, trading for one, and developing one. They just crank out one after another. Morales flies to Kiermaier, one down.
And we talked about last night how they don't let the starters go very deep in games. That's one of the reasons. They're fresh and they go to that bullpen, but they got the fewest innings pitched. So, they've got a good ERA and they're good starters, but they yank them. They don't let them pitch deep into games. I guess to preserve their arm.
One on, one out to Mike Moustakas. He has 3 runs driven in the first 2 games of the series. They have a very strict program, the Rays do, with their minor league pitchers. They will throw this many innings the first year, that many innings the next year, a number of innings the following year, and they will stay religiously committed to that, so a pitcher's arm can develop. And maybe more importantly, when they get to the big league level, they know how to pitch. You don't have a guy coming up here who gets knocked around and his confidence is shot. You got to send him back out, hope that he picks it up, bring him back again. Wade Davis went through that when he was a young starter coming up through the Rays system.
And every organization has their own way. They all do things differently. The game is played the same, but they have different philosophies. And if you're a player in their system, you need to conform to what they go by. And instead of you saying, well, I'm not used to doing this, and they say, too bad, this is how we do it here. So they have a way to do it, and you can't knock their track record. They've been good at developing.
Shallow right center field, and that's going to be caught by Geyer. 2 down. Royals' next game is Tuesday. They have an off day tomorrow, and that's our final T-shirt Tuesday. The first 10,000 fans through the gates receive this special T-shirt commemorating the Royals Franchise 4 winners, courtesy of Washburn University and School of Law. For tickets, Royals.com/T-shirt Tuesday, or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. So Hosmer with that leadoff single is still at first with 2 down to Paulo Orlando. Here's an example, HUD. I looked it up. Wade Davis, drafted by the Rays in 04, and in his last few years in the minor leagues, 146 innings, 158 innings, 160 innings, 195 innings, minor leagues and big leagues, and then, okay, he's ready.
That's their formula.
One ball, one strike.
And then we get Davis along with James Shields, and Wade Davis becomes a beast at the back end of the bullpen with his talent and his reserve tank. He's got good solid arm, good power. We're seeing some 97s, 98 from Wade Davis. Didn't we even see some higher numbers and close to triple digits one time with Wade this year?
The last homestand.
Yeah. He's been well preserved.
He closed out last night's game, getting his 13th save. 3 up, 3 down with a strikeout. We haven't seen a lot of Nathan Carnes, but he sure looks like a guy today who is being very deliberate about staying calm on the mound. Taking his time in between pitches, big deep breaths. Orlando wanted an appeal. He didn't get it. The home plate umpire said that he swung. Paulo's not happy about that. The Royals get a leadoff single, but fail to score in the second inning. Outer blue jersey on. Trying to figure out where the cameras are so he can wave with his wife Holly and his kids Alex and Dominic.
There you go, Dean. We can make an appearance at the Trop. Nice.
And maybe they could be our strongest fan photo of the game. Just use hashtag KC Data Strong Fan, and you just might see yourself in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. Hashtag KC Data Strong Fan.
Dean is a strong fan.
JP Arancibia. 0-2 against Danny Duffy. He is the Rays' backup catcher, being used as a designated hitter. So Kevin Cash, who was a catcher, kind of rolling the dice here by putting both of his catchers in the starting lineup.
Well, Arancibia, by looking at his first 3 swings, now that last one was a little bit better. His swing is long. So Duffy, he might just stay with that fastball. If he throws him a curve or a change, it could speed his bat up. Stay with that heater on him.
Ah, breaking ball got him looking.
That froze him. He started thinking fastball, and then he worked that backdoor breaking ball on the outer half. Nice spot. Froze the hitter, and Arancibia, you got to go. Now it's the right-handed batters that Duffy will have to be concerned with, especially with the power. See the numbers there, 10 homers from righties, 0 to lefties, and there's only 1 lefty in the lineup, and he's getting in the batter's box right now.
Kevin Kiermaier, pretty good swing at a fastball. How do they not have this guy leading off?
You know, I didn't have a chance with the lack of batting practice here this weekend. I didn't have a chance to talk to their hitting coach. But that's one of the questions I've been wanting to know. Is with his speed, and he's not extremely powerful, although he does have some pop, as we witnessed last night. 261 average. Derek Shelton, hitting coach.
He's fast. He plays with energy. The crowd loves it when he comes to the plate. He's a distraction when he gets on the bases.
Well, you know, he only has 18 walks. Maybe that's the reason they put him down there. He's not a real on base guy. Nice fastball.
Think about that, though, and I guess the Rays have to play this out and convince themselves that they are not out of it. But they're 10 games out, 5 weeks to go. That's in their division. They are 4.5 games out in the wild card, but would have to pass 5 teams in the next 5 weeks. And this is a team that's very analytics based. So they allow the computer to put their lineup together, which is fine. I mean, there's some truth to that. But what the computer doesn't tell you is how to make Kevin Kiermaier a good leadoff hitter someday. And the only way to do that for any player is to just put him out there and say, hey, we got 5 weeks to go. I mean, how much more patient is he going to be? How much is his on base percentage going to improve by hitting him 8th?
I agree with you on that. Escobar, they don't have to look too far. The Rays, they can look over there and look at Esky. Esky's on base percentage is .303, but he hits and gets on base. Kiermaier's on base percentage .294, so it's just a few clicks under Escobar's. But when you put the ball in play and you have that speed, you get on base by letting the opponent cause mistakes. Nice inning for Duff.
And he needed that after a 32 pitch first inning. Our University of Kansas Hospital injury report. Lance Lynn left the Cardinals game at San Francisco with a right ankle sprain. Cardinals and Royals very similar in that not only do they have the best records in baseball, and the Cardinals lead is now 3.5 games as Pittsburgh and Chicago continue to charge in that division. And by the way, the Cardinals overall record is only 3 better than the Royals now. But those are two teams that if you went back to spring training and you started rattling off all of the injuries that they would have this year, how many people would have the nerve to say that the Royals and the Cardinals would have the 2 best records in the major leagues in the final days of August?
Yeah, there would have been a lot of panic if they'd have known at that time. But you know, that's why general managers go out and get depth. They sign players that can fill in when somebody goes down. You almost count on injuries happening because that's a part of the game. So it's the general managers who stock their team with the best depth, usually are the most consistent. They got performers, and they like to go with veteran depth. Guys that have a proven track record. You would rather go with a veteran guy like Morales over maybe a Finnegan who's young, he's still learning. But you know what Morales can do? He's got a track record. So maybe Finnegan has a better spring, but he stays with Morales because he knows in the long haul what he can do. That's just an example. And it's not always fair for that younger player either. Because, you know, a lot of younger players have more talent than the veteran, but the manager wants to win games. And I remember being left off a couple of rosters in a couple of years in a row. A guy named Juan Bonilla beat me out 2 years in a row for that 25th spot because he was a veteran and I could play circles around him. But they stayed with him because he was proven. So it happens.
Another bullpen example. Roster spot this year came down to Ryan Madsen or Brian Flynn, the young pitcher the Royals got from the Marlins. And now one was a righty and one was a lefty, but I think in the end they went with the experience of Ryan Madsen. That's really paid off. 2-2 on Infante, who plays in this series for the first time. And a base hit into left center field. Butler goes over to cut it off, and that holds Infante to a single. So a good swing for Infante, and the Royals have another leadoff single. You can support Gordo Nation whether Alex is there on Thursday or not. We hope that he is. For only $30 you get a seat in left field plus a limited edition Charlie Hustle brand t-shirt. As an added bonus, the first 100 Gordo Nation fans get an Alex Gordon big head. Visit Royals.com/special events for more information. And so far so very good for Alex AAA Omaha.
Boy, those folks in Omaha are getting a wonderful treat to have one of their own right there. And a superstar on top of that.
Did our weekly radio program with Dayton Moore and talked about Alex, and he's coming along just fine. But even as badly as Alex wants to play, he seems to understand how important it is for him to come back and be healthy as close to 100% as possible. And they are trusting his judgment, and he's taking it slow. We also spent some time discussing, you know, we talk about a young player comes to the big leagues and gets a taste, and then he goes back to the minor leagues and knows what it's like. Well, this is kind of the reverse. Those guys at AAA get to see Alex Gordon every day. He goes down there, and this is an all-star Gold Glove winner who is known for his work habits, and now all those guys get to see what an American League All-Star looks like up close and personal.
That's a great point.
Butera deadens that ball, and nobody covered first base.
That's a knock for Butera, courtesy of Forsythe not thinking. You know he's bunting. Everybody was crashing. If you're the second baseman, you got to cheat. If you don't think you can get to first base to cover the bag, you got to be cheating anyway to get over there. There's no excuse for this. Butera, good execution. He deadened it nicely. And as he takes off out of the box, he sees nobody at first base, and he goes, oh, what a bonus. I got the runner over, and I'm going to get a base hit out of it. So another mistake, and that's a mental mistake. Those are no-nos. Physical mistakes happen, but mental mistakes get you in trouble.
And now Escobar thinking about a sack or a bunt for a base hit. Now, how many times have you brought up in the series what Jim Hickey says about this Royals offense? And this is what he's been talking about.
Can I bring it up one more time? They're like a full court press in basketball. They're relentless. Any mistake turns into something great. They put the ball in play.
Escobar, for those of you screaming at your television right now because he is sacrificing, we don't know if that's coming from the dugout or that's coming from him, but what we can tell you is that he has just one hit in his last 22 at bats, so he might in his mind feel most comfortable helping the team right now by dropping down a bunt. And now he takes a strike, and it's 1-2.
Escobar is one of those guys that will swing at bad balls with 2 strikes and put it in play. And just what Jim Hickey's talking about. They put it in play. We'll see what he does here now. If Carnes gives him a good pitch to hit, he'll likely square that up.
Even with some of the crazy swings he will take and the pitches out of the strike zone he will swing at, he is still one of the toughest in the American League to strike out. The 6th toughest, to be exact.
Yeah, that's because he swings at a lot of pitchers' pitches, but he's able to just get a piece of it.
Still 1-2. 3-2. Guthrie leads. Now he's starting to get physical. He boxed out the ball boy that time, and then the ball boy on Guthrie's return to the bench gave him an elbow. So it's not only becoming physical, now it's starting to get dirty.
That's what I said earlier. I could feel it coming. They're going to compete. The first inning, it's on. Don't get hurt.
It's also the last game of the series. Changeup. So set him up with the fastballs and the breaking balls, and Escobar, who tried to bunt the runners up, goes down on strikes.
Well, Carnes came up with a beauty. That's perfectly located. That's the pitch that Carnes will use when he's in trouble, and he got it done. And that's how Carnes is going to beat the Royals today. He's going to have to execute his pitches when he needs to, and he did so far. There you go. The emphasis really for the Rays in today's game is holding the Royals offense down. They're going to try to scrap and claw and get some runs off Duffy, but it's about containing the onslaught of 2-out hitting by the Royals.
We remind you to look forward to Miller Time later in today's game, brought to you by Miller Lite. Zobrist was Miller Time on Friday night with a couple of hits and very good defensive play for the Royals. He was hitless in Game 2 last night with a couple of lineouts to the outfield. Carnes got that call, and that's about as much of a protest as you're ever going to see from Ben Zobrist. Just a little snapping of his neck as the pitch was called a strike. We flied out to deep center field against Carnes in the first inning. Looking bad, base hit right center field. Infante scores. Butera to third. He is safe. Drew Butera going first to third on a ground ball base hit. And Ben Zobrist ties the game at 1.
Any mistakes turn into something great. Royals again capitalizing on a mental mistake by the second baseman not covering first on Butera. There it was. High fastball. Zobrist just trying to put it in play. Kiermaier with 13 outfield assists has a cannon. And if that throw would have been a little more over the bag, they would have gotten him. But I love it. The fact that Butera says, I'm going to make them throw me out and cause another mistake.
The Rays are taking a look at that play at third base. Well, we could help him out with that.
Yeah, they can look all they want. He was in there.
Really?
Let's take a look if he came off the bag, because he definitely beat it. Now his back leg is still on it. Looked like he had the bag covered. He wants to replay.
Wow.
Looked to me that Butera, his lead foot caught the bag and stayed on it, and then the back foot stayed on it. But we'll have to get an official review.
The Rays, by the way, are 12-30 this year with their challenges. As in 12 have gone their way, 30 have not gone their way. And the fans didn't realize it, but during this weekend series, the Rays were giving away Kevin Kiermaier figurines and challenges.
Yes, because they lost that one there. Now,
wow.
Yeah, now they don't get another one till, well, they lose it.
It's gone.
They can't get an official review till after the 7th inning by the umpires.
They are now 12-31. Okay. First and third for Lorenzo Cain. Now, I did see down in the Rays dugout, Grady Sizemore, as soon as the call went the Royals' way, and by the way, that's one of the quickest reviews we've had this year. Grady Sizemore came out and was talking to Kevin Cash, and he was pointing to third base, so maybe he was trying to represent the replay coordinator for the Rays, explaining why they went with the challenge. But I mean, haven't we learned this year compared to last year? How many times have we said it on our broadcasts? I mean, it is clear and convincing with an exclamation mark in 2015. And now Cain goes to right field. That ball is down. The Royals take the lead, and Zobrist goes to third.
Here they go again. The Royals, meat of the order, starting to come through, and also capitalizing on the opponent's mistakes. Inside fastball. Lorenzo Cain, he said, I'm going to doink one to right. He had the intention the whole swing. He wasn't trying to hit a 3-run bomb. He just wants to keep the line moving. And he does. Perfect placement.
Cain has hit in 8 straight. And now first and third for Hosmer, and he singled his first time up. Now Cain runs. Royals trying to pour it on. Cain is safe.
Low Cain on the run, 26 bag. More trouble for the Rays. Breaking ball, that helped. Took a little bit more time to get to the plate. Lorenzo Cain going head first. Sometimes you got to deal with that fielder's foot. He's able to get his hand and keep his hand on the base, keep his momentum from over sliding.
Chop foul by Hosmer. No balls, 2 strikes. Infante singled. Butera put down a sac bunt. The Rays did not cover first base. With 1 out, Zobrist and Kane have driven in runs. Way outside. 1 ball, 2 strikes. Middle of the second time through the order for the Royals against Nathan Carnes, where he is at his best. Two and two.
Ooh, we wanted that one. Got Haas out last night on a couple of high and tight inside fastballs that were called strikes. So they think that they got a hole in there, and that's where they try to pitch Haas. He's really dangerous with anything out over the plate. He's going to lace it. He's got more base hits to center field than any other part of the diamond.
And breaking ball got him down and away. 4 strikeouts for Carnes. Both outs in this inning have been strikeouts. 2 down.
Now batting number 25, Morales.
Well, the Royals have been so productive this year with 2 outs. And if you were to pinpoint one player who has led the charge, it would be Kendrys Morales, who not just leads the Royals, but leads the major leagues. 47 of his 90 RBIs have come with 2 outs, and the Royals have 2 in scoring position for him here.
Believe me, Rays manager Cash knows all about that, and with first base open, you know, he's just almost tempted to not give him anything to hit, but then he's got Moose backing up him, who's red hot. And Morales, to his credit, he'll take the walk if they're going to give it to him, but he also expands his zone with 2 strikes and 2 outs. He makes that plate bigger, so he'll go to hacking, and he's really good into all parts of the field.
One ball, 1 strike. And that's what good RBI guys do, right? I mean, there are some hitters like Kendrys Morales. Their job is to drive in runs, and yet we'll get all excited about his on base percentage because he walks. Well, you don't want to walk from him right here, right? I mean, right here, you want him to maybe, as you said, expand just a little bit to put bat on ball with 90 RBIs this year. 2 balls, 1 strike.
Very patient. He knows the pressure is on the pitcher. And, you know, there's been some big-time power hitters in the past that we've seen that would rather take a walk than knock in runs because their on-base percentage, just like you said, they like that for some reason. Waiting for his pitch. He says, if I can't do it, Moose can.
Yeah, I mean, let's be clear. We're not saying he should swing at anything, but if something's maybe a little beyond what he's normally used to swinging at, that's okay. But those pitches, Carnes was clearly pitching around him, and the way things have been going for the past week and a half, it doesn't get much easier when you go from Morales to Moustakas.
Plenty of Moose fans around the country, especially here at the Trop. You can become a huge fan of Duffy's. Duffy, he is, but I mean, Duffy is going to love a big hit right here. 2 outs. Carnes taking his time. I mean, he's taken 15, 20, 25 seconds in between pitches, really trying to think his way through this one.
Rays leave that left side wide open. And Moustakas looked like he was taking a shot in that direction. Moustakas last night came up with 2 outs and used that left side.
Sure did. Wasn't trying to muscle up. Dale Swain has been teaching Moose if he's going to be a run producer, he's got to use the opposite field. That swing there on the first pitch was going to left field if he could have squared it up.
And that one goes to first. A bullet to Nava. And the Rays are fortunate that the Royals scored only 2. Danny Duffy can't wait to get back to the mound. He has a 2-1 lead. Pickup at delivery.panerabread.com. By Menards, save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. And by Jeep, find your summer of adventure with great deals at the Jeep Summer Clearance Event. Big rip by Brandon Guyer as he leads off the bottom of the 3rd inning. Danny Duffy is pitching with a 2-1 lead. Guyer singled. Went to second on an error and scored the Rays run in the 1st inning. A 32-pitch 1st inning for Danny Duffy. And then he buckled down in the 2nd and got to the Rays with just 9 pitches. Still 0-2. One ball, 2 strikes on Guyer with Daniel Nava on deck, followed by Evan Longoria.
The Rays got to feel pretty good about that inning, that last inning, even though they gave up a couple of there. They could have easily had a lot more of the Royals. Moose, I don't know if he's hit a harder ball all year on a breaking ball. He crushed that.
Oh, that ball's crushed. Into the corner. And just like that, the Rays tie the game on Brandon Guyer's 6th home run of the year.
Wanted the fastball in, and it was right where Butera wanted it, but right where Guyer was looking. Nice catch.
And that'll bring up Daniel Nava, and we go to Joel.
Well, Ryan, Daniel's got a very interesting story and one of perseverance, also involving a member of the Royals organization. Back in his young years, he tried out to play baseball at Santa Clara, and he was cut, didn't make the team, and so they offered him to be the manager. And there he was doing laundry, and he was the manager for a couple of years, and then ends up going to the College of San Mateo, where he clicked with Bill Duplessis, the Royals' current instant replay coordinator. And Billy at that point was the catching coach for San Mateo, but they really clicked from a hitting standpoint, became very close. As a matter of fact, Billy told me today there was a picture in the paper one day. Billy would coach first base, and he'd kind of steal signs. Easy to admit to that at this point. He would steal signs and relay them into Daniel Nava, and the picture in the paper of Nava hitting the home run and Bill not exactly discreetly leaning over to try to give him that signal. All these years later, they are still good friends, and he went on and then did get a scholarship at Santa Clara.
Boy, we mentioned this, Joel, on Friday. I mean, you talk about a Disney movie just waiting to be written. Daniel Nava, and I'll just fill in a few other details. And HUD was just looking at some of his information when he was in high school. He was tiny. He was such a poor high school hitter, outfielder, that his coach would designated hit for him. Oh. So then, as Joel said, he goes to Santa Clara, tries to make the team. He's the manager for 2 years. He lights things up with Bill Duplessis at San Mateo College, hitting .430 one year, .384 the next year. Goes back to Santa Clara, hits .395, undrafted. He plays independent baseball and gets a roster spot only because 2 other guys failed to report. Signed for $1 by the Red Sox out of the independent league. That's a true story. And that in and of itself is a wonderful story. And then when he gets to the big leagues, on his first major league pitch after that journey, he hits a grand slam. I mean, are you kidding me?
Yeah.
I mean, at what point does Tinkerbell come into the scene?
It's crazy. But what impresses me about Nava, though, is when he was a freshman, he stood 4 feet 8 inches tall and weighed 70 pounds. Okay, so for all you young, small athletes out there that may get laughed at or say, hey, look, you're too small, don't believe it. In baseball, size does not matter.
Out to Orlando in left field, 2 down.
What matters is your heart and your willingness to persevere and to get better and to improve. Can't listen to those folks. Nava didn't. Had Nava quit that Santa Clara team when they made him an equipment manager, he said he would have never played baseball again, most likely. But he hung in there and kept playing and came back to the same school. That's a great story. Way to go, Joel. Way to get us started here. Getting me all stirred up.
I mean, and how many guys, you know, I've heard stories before that a guy goes to a bigger school and he tries out, doesn't make the team. So then he immediately transfers and goes to a junior college. He was the manager for 2 years and still probably had something inside of him that was just gnawing at him. No, you should play. You should play.
Yeah. I can imagine that.
Logan Forsythe, who really has been struggling with runners in scoring position, gets a hit with nobody on. So he's on with 2 outs and a 2-2 tie.
You know, sometimes when a runner gets out there, you get a little nervous. Some hitters put pressure on themselves, and that's why you're not a good run producer.
Joey Butler was a run producer in the first inning. His 2-out single scored Geyer. Zobrist in right field is there, and that's the inning. Geyer homers leading off the inning, and at the end of 3, we have a 2-2 tie. Forces Night presented by Budweiser. That's next Monday, a week from tomorrow. So arrive early for a pregame ceremony honoring our servicemen and women prior to a game with Minnesota. And you can get those tickets right now at Royals.com or call 1-800-6-ROYALS. After today, we are down to 2 homestands and 2 road trips. 5 weeks in the regular season. Paulo Orlando, then Omar Infante and Drew Butera. Rays got a run in the first inning. The Royals got 2 in the third to take a brief lead. And Tampa Bay just tied it in the bottom of the third. On that pitch right there, Orlando struck out in the second inning. A breaking ball down. Base hit right field. Good swing and a pitch up and away. And that's the 3rd straight inning the Royals have had a leadoff base hit.
Second baseman, Omar Infante.
It's going to make Paulo feel good. 2 strikes, got him. Pitch he could handle and went to the opposite field like we've been seeing. Royals are taking what they're giving them, not trying to do too much.
Omar Infante playing in this series for the first time. Had a solid base hit to left center field in the third and scored the Royals' first run. Ball 1 inside. Lorenzo Cain in the third inning stole a base against Carnes and Rivera. Paulo Orlando has 3 this year. He's been thrown out twice. It was a good lead. Not running, and Infante takes low, 2-0. The Royals will not come close to a stolen base season like they had last year, but here they are, 2nd in the league in stolen bases, getting closer and closer to the top after spending most of the year in the middle of the American League in that category. Infante into the left field corner is out in front. 2-1. The Houston Astros lead the American League in stolen bases. And they lead it by a pretty wide margin. They have 12 more stolen bases than the Royals. Okay, you've got me intrigued now. You've had your phone out this whole inning and you're timing something.
That's right. I wanted to time in between pitches. Now the base hit from Paulo, from the minute Carnes let the ball go, 53.1 seconds. Doesn't seem like a long time, but now after a regular pitch, 29 seconds in between pitches. He's really slowing down. No wonder the defense is going to sleep on him. It's just way too long. He's going to have to pick up his tempo a little bit if he wants the defense to perform.
Dorian foul ground. I don't know the answer to this. Maybe somebody can look it up. But in the minor leagues, at certain levels, they are experimenting with a pitch clock. And the feeling is that that will not make it to the major leagues, but it will help program pitchers to work quicker and speed up the game. And it has had an impact in the minor leagues. I think games on average at one of the levels where they're using the pitch clock is anywhere the average 230 to 240 per game. And I'm curious, Holtze's going to look it up, I think, if he can find it. I want to say it's 20 seconds. 15, 20 seconds is where they put the pitch clock. They also have used it in the Arizona Fall League.
Well, you know, for example, yesterday's starting pitcher for the Royals, Medlin. Medlin was a former infielder, and he knows from being an infielder how important it is for those guys to not be distracted by fans or whatever in between pitches, to stay on it. And so he wants to get up there and pitch quicker so he can stay in rhythm with the game. I think it helps speed the game, and also it helps your defenders who are so important to a pitcher.
Now Orlando runs. The Royals try to hit and run, and Orlando is going to be out. Well, it's Butera's job to make contact on a hit and run, but that was a tough pitch from Carnes. 2 down.
Yeah, they teach you on a hit and run to not go until you know the pitcher's going home. Don't want to get picked off on that, so it's usually going to be the base runner is going to have a little bit of a lag taken off.
Out to short. Beckham is there, throws high, and Nava comes down on the bag. So leadoff single, runner caught stealing, and Carnes faces only 3 in the top of the 4th. In the Arizona Fall League, a 20-second pitch count. Now, I imagine with runners on base in certain situations, maybe they're not as strict, but in both leagues, the average time of game is down by at least 10 minutes. And that's not what Major League Baseball is out for, to particularly, you know, just solely make the game slower, but they just want to pick up the pace and pick up the tempo. And I agree with you. I think it's no coincidence that usually pitchers who either walk a lot of hitters or they take a lot of time in between pitches get the worst defense.
Yep.
Tim Beckham takes a curveball down and in, ball 1.
I remember playing behind Dennis Martinez. He was a human rain delay. After every pitch, he would rub the ball up on the back of the mound. And you know, he was a great pitcher. I'll use the term great for him. He pitched a long time, and so I'm not going to say anything to him. That's the pitching coach's job, or a veteran player to say something to a pitcher if he feels like he needs to.
maybe a second baseman or a shortstop or a third baseman just subtly come in between batters and say, we're dying out here.
Yeah, or after the start. He's got 4 days. Got 4 days to talk to the guy. And you kind of mentioned it to him there. You know, in game, I don't think you want to mess with the guy's rhythm in game, but. And those are things that pitching coaches, the players can talk to the pitching coach, and the pitching coach can relay that to the pitcher. Stays away from any personal conflict or anything like that. There's one of the best right there. Both of them. Jersh is doing a fantastic job at third base coach, and Dave Island certainly one of the best.
Beckham with a foul tip. He strikes out for a second time against Duffy. And Danny has 5 in 3 1/3 innings. Royals fans, did you know the StubHub app is personalized just for you? Now with the app, you can select your teams and artists, discover new favorites, and grab tickets wherever you want. Get your app at the App Store today. Start at StubHub and let the fun find you. JP Arancibia.
You know, I try to. I think everybody's great, but in this baseball world, not everyone is great. But I said El Presidente I thought was great, and Dave Holtzman looked up 245 career wins. 4-time All-Star for El Presidente.
And just think what he could have been if he worked quicker.
That's right. He might have got 300.
Arancibia is on with 1 out.
The center fielder, Kevin Kiermaier.
Let's take a look at this pitch now. He's setting up inside for a fastball, and it was. It's down low. That ball was almost on the ground at 95. So Arancibia shortened up his swing some. Thought that was a breaking ball. That's a good pitch. Good hit.
Two on Kiermaier. He struck out on a fastball in the second inning against Duffy. Slide step, and he struck him out again.
Man, that ball exploded on Kiermaier. He swung at that like it was a breaking ball. Woo-hoo! Talk about blue by you. There it was.
And now fastball by Rene Rivera. Grounded out to Escobar in the second inning. He's batting with Arancibia at first and 2 down.
I love how Duffy's using his fastball. You know, you're going to get beat once in a while on it. Solo homers, not that big a deal. With runners on, that's where you really got to be careful with your location of that fastball. So you throw enough of them, that makes that pitch look even better. Same with Ventura. Ventura, when his power fastball, he establishes that thing early, and they get the hitters looking for it, and then he pulls a string on them with his great yak, and that's what you're getting, swing and misses.
Zobrist jogs into right center field, and that's the inning. A 2-2 tie in St. Petersburg at the end of 4. Unique opportunities such as taking a photo on the field, a front row pass to watch batting practice, and more. All experiences are available for purchase each game exclusively through the MLB.com Ballpark app. Top of the order, Escobar, Zobrist, Kane. Third time through the order against Nathan Carnes, who got the Royals in order in the first inning, but has labored over the last 3 innings. Breaking ball dips low. Escobar has flied to left and then struck out. Carnes has struck out 4 in his 3 innings and strikes out about 1 per inning this year. It's out of play.
Carnes has a nice changeup, and he used it on Escobar and got him down. Look how it starts in the middle, looks good to the hitter, and at the last minute underneath the bat. That's what that pitch is designed to do.
Right to the second baseman Forsythe. Escobar is 0 for 3. And there's 1 out in the 5th inning. Carnes came to the Rays in a trade this past offseason. He is from the Nationals organization. Jose Lobaton, catcher, went from the Rays to the Nationals. Zobrist did not swing. Ryan Honora is the third base umpire. Royals got their 2 runs in the 3rd inning. Zobrist drove in 1. Kane the other. Two-0. To Nava. Carnes missed it. And that'll be another error for the Rays. Now, they have not officially committed an error today, but they've had a player fail to cover a base. They did make 3 errors in the game last night.
No, this is just a simple procedure here that's gone through every day in Major League Baseball. It's a routine play, and you got to have these outs. These are easy outs for you here. And Carnes, he just butchered it. Didn't look like he pulled his head off it. He just couldn't glove it.
And now Carnes is wishing that the pitcher would speed up the tempo.
Yeah, yes.
Because it's affecting the defense.
Yeah. His own defense.
Have a little meeting with himself at the mound.
And no wonder Lorenzo Cain against these Rays have shortened up his swing and just trying to take a shot. Look, at you could dribble a 14 hopper through there, and that would be 1st and 3rd. Locane's pride's not that big where he's got to try to take you in the seats, even though he's busted Carnes before.
Or a wild pitch.
I'm going to play Lorenzo Cain straight up, just because we get to watch every game and we know a little bit more. But you know, these charts and the way they make their defense shift, you know, it's just it's amazing. Sometimes it works, but lots of times it doesn't. Now with nobody on the right side except for Nava, look where Nava is. Nava is way off the base, over towards second, and the speed of Lorenzo Cain, anything chopped anywhere, he's going to have a good chance of getting an infield hit. I mean, you know, we showed you guys last night the hits by direction, and it's pretty well balanced there. We've been seeing some more low cane triangle sightings, and that's where he kind of just likes to feather that ball out there over the second baseman's head, and he got one of those earlier in this game today. Second time up.
And now you're putting a lot of pressure on a young pitcher who's labored today to only deal with a small part of the strike zone to get Kane to hit it to the left side.
So Lorenzo's telling himself, okay, come back with that one again. If you're going to throw it right down the middle, 3-0, maybe you'll do it again. I'll be waiting for it. Okay, he was a little tardy, but looked like he was trying to go to right field. We'll see if he throws that same changeup that he got Escobar to swing and miss over the top of. That'd be a good selection if he could put it there. We'll see.
Remember to vote for the Royals Player of the Month. Just go to rallyhouse.com and you'll be entered to win a majestic prize pack from Rally House. One for two today with an RBI to extend that hitting streak. As the catcher Rivera calling time, he wants to rethink the signs and go with another pitch.
Lorenzo Cain hit a curveball for a home run at the K off of Carnes. I don't know if he'll throw it here 3-2. He did.
And with a throw in the dirt, Nava makes a play for the Rays defense. Carnes made the pitch to get Cain to hit it into the defense. 2 down. Had an interesting conversation, Hud, with A.J. Hinch when the Astros were at Kauffman Stadium. You know, the last year and the year before, remember we'd go to Houston and we heard a lot about the pitchers griping because of the shifts. They'd get ground balls that normally would be outs, and there's nobody standing there because of the shift. And AJ was saying that, and they're still doing the same thing, having much better results. And AJ said 2 things. Number one, their pitching is better, so they're putting the ball where the guys will hit it into the shift. And number 2, they went to great lengths to explain to the pitchers why they're doing it, show them the data that supports why they're doing it, as opposed to just saying, look, this is the way we're going to do things. We're in charge. You're not. Deal with it.
No, that's good. That's smart. Glad to hear that. To explain it to those guys. And then the bullpen guys, mostly veterans, now they're believing in it. So, you know, it just takes a little bit of time. And the Houston Astros, no one expected them to do what they're doing this year. So it's working. Carnes getting Haas with some off-speed pitches out of the zone.
And there's another one. In protecting their young starters' arms, 88 pitches is the most for Carnes in his last 8 starts. 88. And some guys are just starting to break a sweat at 88. Now 1 ball, 2 strikes.
I don't see any action up in their bullpen, but really, it's kind of unfair for a starter, a young guy. Don't think he wants to throw a fastball anywhere near the plate in this situation. Haas is going to shorten up his swing, try to get that run home.
Still 1-2.
And he's keeping that curveball down to his credit. He's starting it out right around the knees, and it's dropping around ankle height. If he lets one out, lets one go letter high, that's a hanger. Let's see this one here. Look where he's putting all those pitches there. He's keeping it down. He knows the damage Haas can do.
Barnes gets a strikeout of Hosmer looking. With Zobrist in scoring position. Halfway home, and we're tied at 2.
And when he did that, he got recognition from Salvador Perez. You know, they all give the signals back and forth. We had this one back at Kauffman Stadium recently. That is supposed to be a hair flip, and then the signal back from Butera is the hair flip. So that's the new one for Drew Butera, and there's been a debate over who has the best hair on the team, Hosmer and Butera, and Hosmer's adamant that it's him. But I just checked with Salvi earlier today, and he goes, no. It's Butera, so we'll let them continue to debate that. I can tell you guys this for Butera. It is a homecoming. Went to high school in Orlando, about 95 miles from here at Bishop Moore High School. Went up against guys like Zach Greinke and Prince Fielder during his high school days. He was a shortstop and a catcher. The only Division I offer he had to play catcher was for the University of Central Florida, so he went there, and all these years later, he is up in the big leagues as a catcher. Born, guys, in Evansville, Indiana, when his dad was playing for the AAA team of the Tigers, but spent the bulk of his childhood in Orlando.
Where there is plenty of good baseball to be played. Drew was first drafted by the New York Mets in the 5th round 10 years ago. You know, a player is very fortunate if they have a father who played the game. It's not necessary. Boy, Geyer, he's 3 for 3. He has led off the 1st, 3rd, and 5th with a base hit. But how about your father was not only a major league player, as Sal Butera was, Drew's father, but he basically had the exact same role as Drew did. He was a backup catcher, and a backup catcher for several All-Stars. Sal Butera was a backup for Lance Parrish, Gary Carter, Butch Weiniger, and now Drew has been a backup for Salvador Perez and Joe Mauer when he was an All-Star and winning Gold Gloves as a catcher with Minnesota.
Drew, he's right where he wants to be.
And you can teach your kid how to play, right? You teach your boys how to play, but I imagine it would be hard if they got to the big leagues. If Will or David got to the big leagues and were not playing, they would have the advantage of having you as a father saying, you know, the mentality of being prepared every day, not playing every day, because that's not something a kid's used to if they're really good as a high schooler or a college player.
And even if you're an everyday player for many years in the minors and you get to the majors and you have to stick on a roster and there's only one spot available, it's a role player. I'm going to ask my kids, how's your work habits? What are you doing when you get to the ballpark? Are you paying attention? Are you taking extra ground balls? Those are the things that Drew does. Butera, he always knows where Salvi is in the lineup, and when Salvi makes the last out of an inning, he comes in and will do the catching from him. He'll come all the way out from the bullpen. Now, no one asks him to do that. That's what he does on his own, because he knows in order to keep that spot, he wants to be attractive out there for not only the Royals, but any other team that might want him. Somebody who pays attention to detail, who's there, who hustles, who works hard, who does all the catching in the when pitchers throw on the side. Every single day a pitcher throws a side session, and he's out there wanting to do it, and that keeps him sharp for when he gets the call. He can try to do one good thing that game, as he plays once a week, and he had a good game. So far, that nice little bunt there, and he got on with that base hit, and they didn't cover the bag. That's been his good thing. Now hopefully he'll continue to keep Duffy down in that zone, and they'll get the W. That's another good thing.
Hosmer with a blind backhand save to keep that ball from going into right field.
His glove's amazing. So soft with his hands.
Geyer's saying, man, how did you do that? Hosmer's like, ha, you haven't seen anything. Well hit right center field. Long run for Zobrist, but he knows right field here. He played second base and right field more than any other position with the Rays. That's out number one.
Let's take a little flashback at Haas. Watch one of the reasons, one of the things that gets him going. Watch his glove hand. Watch Hosmer. The ball's in the way. Watch him. See how he shook his hand. He shook his glove hand. And what that's telling him is telling him to keep that loose wrist. Don Mattingly used to do the same thing. 7-, 8-time Gold Glove winner, however many golds Donnie won. He was always moving his glove. And he was always, and that tells him, you know, be ready to go. That's that hands. You got to have those hands. So with Haas, I noticed when the ball was being thrown, Haas was doing the same thing. He was wiggling his glove, getting ready to keep it loose, so he can turn that ball into a marshmallow and it sticks in his glove.
Evan Longoria is 0 for 2.
Duffy's gonna roll a double play each start. You just don't know when it's going to happen. He's got 15 this year. That's a career high. 7 all last year. Tells me in situations like that he was overthrowing, trying to blow the ball by guys, and now this year he's understanding about keeping the ball down and using the defense and not trying to blast it by guys, blow it by them.
Two and one on Longoria. Runner takes off. Duffy goes to first. Runner out. With Geyer gambling on first movement, and he is out.
Man, it almost looked like he got under that tag. I know they had him by plenty. But let's see where Infante's tag was now. He's going first movement. Oh well, they couldn't replay it anyway.
2 balls, 2 strikes.
By the way, Donnie Mattingly had 9 Gold Gloves.
Full count with Forsythe on deck. And Duffy's next pitch will be number 90.
Longoria, their best hitter against lefties this year. .352 coming into this game. 5 home runs. He's 0 for 2 so far in this one. Some hitters from the right side, I'll tell you, they see the ball a lot better coming out of that lefty's hand.
Oh, 95 and just outside.
Ball just misses off the plate. Duffy, just you gave one look to the sky, and that's about it. He's really improved in controlling his emotions, and he understands that he's got to be stoic out there. He was telling me a couple of days ago, we were sitting in the Rays dugout, and he talked about the importance of not letting the hitters see his emotions. So that tells me, just him sharing that information, that he's growing up a lot. Every start he gets better. And that was a good test there. He's been getting squeezed a little bit this afternoon by Clint Fagan, home plate umpire, in my opinion.
Logan Forsythe. Bird ball's outside. Forsythe is 1 for 2 with a 3rd inning single. Now 2 balls and no strikes. Danny now at 93 pitches. And Luke Hochaver begins to play catch. Ryan Madsen's been dealing with a little sore shoulder. He's making progress. Kelvin Herrera had pitched in consecutive games. Greg Holland had pitched in consecutive games. And Luke Hochaver has been warming up so much lately that Ned Yost deemed him unavailable last night. And that's why Chris Young pitched the 8th to get his first major league hold. Down for a base hit. Longoria will stop at second base. And the Rays with 2 down get a walk and a single. Forsythe is 2 for 3.
Fastball down the middle, gonna get hit. That's the kind of swing you want on a good fastball. Just shorten it up.
Coming up on 100 pitches in 5 innings. So the Rays trying to get a run with 2 outs, and Joey Butler with 2 down in the first inning. Single to right, and that scored Geyer. He is also flied out to right field. Changeup. Figured he was sitting on a first pitch fastball. 0-1.
It's a good spot. Duffy's changeups look good tonight. Hasn't gotten, or this afternoon, he hadn't gotten a few of them called though, but that's a good pitch. He's got to stay with that.
Back with the same pitch.
He's got a nice release to it. He's staying on top of it, and he's following through with it. He's finishing it.
Does he triple up on it?
I go high heater right here. Blow it by him, four-seamer. Okay, let's go back to Geyer. This is the pitch before he got the base hit. That change up to a righty is perfect execution. That is a good strike. Duffy took a deep breath, showed no emotion, and got back up on the slab. Now, he left a curveball up, and he got a base hit to left field, but his changeup has been really good. Again.
Back to Danny. Over to Hosmer. And that's the inning. 2 hits, a walk. The caught stealing was big, and the Rays are scoreless in the 5th.
Good job.
Serving the needs of the military community for over 90 years. 2-2 tie to the top of the 6th inning. And serving the Royals community for over 90 years is Denny Matthews.
How did you know that?
Well, maybe not quite 90
not
years.
Not quite.
But
close.
How are you?
You're close. I'm fine. I'm doing okay.
We've been just looking at each other through the glass here. You know.
Yeah. I'm pretty impressed by the tempo and pace of Carnes.
I'll bet you are. Yeah. That's why I was checking with you through the glass over there in the radio booth. I had a feeling.
Yeah, that really helps your defense, doesn't it?
Well, Denny, we were all over that.
Yeah, I know you guys were.
Rhino thought I was texting the only two friends I have. But
no, I knew you weren't texting. I knew you were timing something.
I just had to get a clock on him.
Well,
you know, this is way too much time. It's almost 30 seconds in between pitches.
And his mound demeanor, walking around like a guy who'd rather be out on Tampa Bay fishing than out here on the mound. Come on, help your defense a little bit.
Well, now we have Xavier Cedeno taking over for the Rays. As Carnes gives up 2 runs in 5 innings. Kendrys Morales 0 for 1 with a walk. He'll be followed by Mike Moustakas and Paulo Orlando. This is our Sonic Slam inning. Our contestant is Colleen Hooper from Liberty. If the Royals hit a home run in this inning, Colleen wins $300. And of course, if the Royals hit a grand slam out of the park, Colleen wins $25 grand from Sonic and the Kansas City Royals.
You guys sure look nice in your ties today. Glad you got all dressed up for this.
Yep, for you, actually.
Well,
as it should be.
You got a nice Antigua golf shirt on yourself.
Thank you. Yeah, I like to get dressed up on Sunday.
We're glad you're in. What do you think? What do you think the Rays are thinking right now? And I know Carnes, was taking his time with runners in scoring position, especially with 2 outs, and he wanted no part of Morales. But we were talking with the pitching coach before the series started. He was worried about that offense of the Royals and how pesky they are, and they're in their mind, aren't they?
Yeah, and they should be worried more about their base running and their defense, which has been pretty shoddy in the first 2.5 games of this series. And the mental mistake by the second baseman on the bunt, I mean, that's egregious, and you shouldn't see that on this level, but it happens. I understand that. Again, the pitcher can help his defense.
Good play, Longoria. Then an off-balance throw and a strike over to Nava. Up comes Mike Moustakas, 0 for 2 today. He just hit the stuffing out of one in the 3rd inning for an out. He is our most trusted player, brought to you by the most trusted brand, Honda, and this is Moustakas in this series.
He's been hot, hasn't he? And big hits. Doubles and home runs. And defense. That was a terrific play last night. Pivoting on his right knee to make a throw to second base. And all he had to do, all he wanted to do, just get it in the vicinity. And it wasn't a great throw, but he got it in the vicinity, and Zobrist helped him out by digging it out. But that was a terrific play by Moustakas.
We began our broadcast today, Hud and I were talking that, just trying to look back at why so many people predicted the Royals to finish 2nd, 3rd, or even 4th. They liked the pitching, they liked the defense, but they just felt like there wasn't enough offense. The Royals are 5th in the league in runs scored now, and they now have a legitimate and a productive middle of the order, something they have not had in a long time, as Moustakas flies out to left field, and there are 2 down in the 6th inning.
Yeah, and what great balance. Just look at the hits,
Number 16.
RBIs, home runs. There's no one guy that's head and shoulders above the others in any one category, but everybody chips in. If the guy in front of you doesn't get it done, the guy behind you probably will. And I think that's been the basis of, from the opening day to present, how well the Royals have played offensively. It's just a good balanced attack. There's some power, there's some speed, guys helping each other out. I think the team concept offensively has been excellent. I'm coming up to bat. What's the situation? What can I do in this at bat to advance our cause? Do I need to move a runner? Do I need to try to pull a ball into a corner to maybe get a guy home from first? Whatever it takes, they've been able to do it. It's pretty amazing.
Cedeno comes out of the pen and gets the Royals in order to the bottom of the 6th and a 2-2 tie. of many right now. Follow the Royals with MLB.com at bat on your smartphone or tablet. Stay connected to the Royals wherever you are with the MLB.TV Game of the Day. In-game highlights, live look-ins, replay reviews, radio broadcasts, and more. It's the #1 app for live baseball. Luke Hochevar is a Chevy called to the bullpen after Danny Duffy goes 5 and gives up 2 runs, 7 hits. Hochevar will get Beckham, Aaron Sebia, and Kiermaier. Beckham had a bad time against Duffy. Struck out twice.
Came over with Luke this morning, and all he could talk about was Tennessee football. We're back. He's convinced. We'll see. The old Vol has high hopes for his gridiron boys.
And in that spirit, the next batter he will face will be J.P. Arancibia, who was his college teammate in Tennessee. Luke Hochevar, J.P. Arancibia, Chase Headley, all on the same college team. And a young outfielder with the Rangers who never really took off the way they had hoped, Julio Bourbon. Remember him?
Mm-hmm. Biggest change in college baseball in the last few years, the ballparks. Most of the major colleges have beautiful stadiums.
They really do. A lot nicer than many minor league ballparks.
Yes.
Beckham strikes out for a 3rd time. Here's a Mazda game break, and we have shocking news from Toronto. Edwin Encarnacion has hit a home run.
Wow.
And even more stunning news, Josh Donaldson has hit a home run. Can you believe that?
Every night or day.
So Donaldson, Encarnacion, and Bautista all have at least 30 home runs. It's the first time since 2012 that the team has had 3 30 home run hitters.
I was riding home in a cab last night, and the driver just couldn't stop talking about the Royals and what's going to happen. And he said that the game I want to watch is the Blue Jays and the Royals. That'll be great. Their power versus the Royals' speed and pitching. He says, I won't miss a pitch if that happens. He was all worked up. I didn't have to entertain him for a change.
It'd be a good matchup. They're pretty lethal in their ball yard.
And the Royals are pretty lethal in their ball yard.
Yes. Who gets home field advantage? Aha.
And the Royals right now have a 7-game advantage in that department over the Blue Jays. 1-2 on Aaron Sebia. So we have some off-season bragging rights on the line right here. Good buddies from the University of Tennessee. Both live in Tennessee in the off-season now. Aaron Sebia is 3 out of 9 with a triple and a home run in the past against Hochevar.
Both guys have a little extra adrenaline working, you know that. Well, Luke can yell at him if he wants to.
2 down. Hochevar loves pitching here. He has given up just 1 run in his last 16 innings. I remember 2 or 3 years ago he got into a duel with David Price 3 years ago and outpitched David Price. August of 2012, 1 hit in 8 innings. No decision. The Royals ended up winning it in 10. And what ended up being Luke's last year as a starter.
And that game probably his best. If you were going to ask him one game that you felt the best, you worked the best, I bet you he would say that one.
Sure.
What do you think?
Sure. 0-1 on Kiermaier. He has struck out twice today. 1 ball, 1 strike.
That's how you get a hitter to move his feet
quickly.
And his knees, and his hips, and his shoulders.
Ooh.
Pull the ripcord.
And now Kiermaier drives the next pitch into the bleachers for his 2nd home run of this series. So a pretty good job after hitting the deck on the pitch before.
Pretty good answer right there. Looked like a breaking ball that just leaked back right into his pull area, and pull it he did like a bullet.
That was a cutter that didn't cut much. And the home run he hit in last night's game was very similar, except it was to left center on the line.
As a broadcaster, not a lot of time to romance a home run like that. About 1.3 seconds, it's from bat to seat.
Yeah, he certainly didn't take his time getting around the bases. Either he likes to hustle around in bases.
Rivera out to Keane in center field. So the Rays have hit 2 home runs today. They retake the lead on Kiermaier's 2nd of the series. We go to the 7th. Tampa Bay leads 3-2. The U-verse revolves around you. Call 1-800-PICK-ATT. By your Midwest Ford dealers. Visit your MidwestFordDealers.com. And by Academy Sports and Outdoors. Right stuff, low price, every day. That is the Ray tank. Out in right center field. This is Alex Colomé coming on for the 7th inning. Rays are in front for the 2nd time today. They lead 3-2. The Royals have Infante, Butera, and Escobar coming up as we visit with Denny Matthews. All right, Denny, the Royals are 31 games above 500. Just a couple of days away from September the 1st. If they win today, being at 32 games above 500, it'd be the first time since 1980. That's when the 1980 team ended the season at 32 games above 500. So this is kind of an unfair question, and yet I think it's one that Royals fans wonder about. Kiermaier coming up in center field. He'll get Infante, who is 1 for 3. How does this Royals team compare to the best Royals teams like 80 and 77 and 85?
Very comparable. The 80 team, as I recall, went to Texas on Memorial Day weekend, so we're talking late May, and swept the Rangers, who were pretty good. And for all intents and purposes, the pennant race ended in Texas in late May, because the next 4 months it was just a matter of going through the schedule and getting on with postseason. That was 1980. So it took them until probably the middle of September to make it official that they clinched at the end of May, which essentially it looks like this Royals team is going to do exactly the same thing, because nobody has pressed them. The 76, 7, and 8 teams were terrific. 77 still the best Royals team of all time, because starting rotation was excellent. Bullpen was good. Defense and offense very, very good. I've compared the defense of 77 to this year. There's hardly any difference, with one exception. This team, the current team, makes more spectacular plays. The other team made all the plays. They got all the outs that they should have gotten out, made the double plays they should get, but not quite as spectacular as this group. Maybe just a teeny bit less athletic, I think it's safe to say.
1-2 on Drew Butera. And now he's down on strikes. That 80 team, if you say that for all intents and purposes they sealed up the division at the end of May, then they had to deal with maybe a lack of competitive games for the end of their regular season, and then they had to wait around quite a bit in between the championship series and the World Series, right?
That's correct. Yeah, and the 80 season was one of the hottest summers in Kansas City history, and of course we had the artificial turf, so every time you walked into the ballpark it felt like you were walking into a boiling pot. I mean, it was brutal. It really was. And of course it was exaggerated by that darn turf. But so it was tough getting through that, because there was a period of about 3 or 4 weeks when the temperature seldom was much below 100. And the guys just really sweated their way. It was great having a road trip because you get away from that. But that was a very, very good team. Texas, and I think everybody when the season started agreed that they're going to be the toughest opponent for the Royals, and they took care of them down in Texas in that series in late May, and then they weren't heard from again, and the Royals just wanted to survive the heat and get to the playoffs.
Well, it's similar to this year. I mean, Detroit and Cleveland were supposed to be the toughest competitors for the Royals this year. The Royals have taken care of those 2 teams.
Yeah, they've never been pressed, really. Let's be honest. Nobody's challenged them within the division. Nobody's pressed them at all. No pressure, because they've taken care of their opponents in this division so well.
Kyer will make the play in right field. So the Rays bullpen of Cedeno and Colome have had 2 perfect innings. Stretch time here in St. Petersburg. The Rays go on the road for a 10-day road trip. The Royals go back home for a 10-day, 9-game homestand. Luke Hochevar stays on for a second inning. He came on in the 6th and allowed a home run to Kevin Kiermaier, and that's the difference right now. 3-2 Rays. It'll be the top of the order. Geyer, Nava, and Longoria in the 7th inning. We're chatting with Denny for some historical perspective, comparing some of the great Royals teams to the 2015 Royals. You know, and this is for both of you guys. You know, there's a feeling that, you know, you want to go into the playoffs intense, tight games, still have your mental edge, and you don't want long layoffs. But the Royals did both last year. You know, they were intense going into the wild card. They won the wild card, but then they had 4 days off between the first and second round, and then they had 5 days off in between the championship series and the World Series, and that really never slowed them down.
No, I don't think it did at all. And, you know, the way they play and their style of ball is press, press, press each game. They all know what they can do. They don't try too hard. That's the thing. They all let their ability take over, and they just play the game.
And the one thing they had going into the playoffs last year was the fact that it was successful. It was a great season because we made the playoffs. So that took off a lot of pressure, right? Now you play the wild card game against Oakland and the miracle comeback. If there was any pressure left from making the playoffs and getting to that plateau, the wild card game erased any pressure that might have been left over. And so they go into Anaheim relaxed and loose, having fun, a lot of energy, just very excited about where they are. Took care of them. Baltimore, same thing. Both the Angels and the Orioles had better records than the Royals did because they had won their divisions. Didn't matter. The Royals were the underdog. They were loose, relaxed, and boy, it really showed. I thought the Angels and the Orioles were the opposite. You guys saw those games. I thought they were very uptight, and that's why the Royals continued to roll. So, yeah, they had the layoffs, but boy, they had all that adrenaline and the relaxation and the confidence of getting past number one into the playoffs, number two getting past that darn one-game play-in thing. And once they got through there, why, they were on their way.
Yeah, they were loose.
Oh,
they were confident. No pressure whatsoever. Everything to gain, nothing to lose.
No question.
And so I asked Mike Scioscia when the Angels were at the K here a couple weeks ago, Mike, did that long layoff that you guys had before you played the Royals have an effect on your team? And he adamantly said, no, the Royals, the Kansas City Royals beat us. He said, those plays that you guys made at our house, Aoki with that catch off the wall saved a couple runs, Dyson throwing that runner out at third base. He goes, you guys just beat us. And I admire him for admitting that.
By the way, I'm in favor of renaming the wild card to that darn one-game play-in thing.
Well,
that's a better title.
And I think other people have said the same thing, and we can't use the words here on air that they said about it. Yeah, that's scary, isn't it?
You know what that is? Dog pit. That the darn one-game play-in thing spells dog pit. So I say we change it from wild card to dog pit.
I'm so happy that came out of Denny's mouth and not mine. Way to go, Denny.
Thank you.
So the Royals, if they stay at this pace, will play the winner of the dog pit game. Fouled away by Longoria, 0 for 2 with a walk.
I also have a name for the 3 out of 5 series. A death trap.
Yeah, it's.
You lose the first one at home in the 3 out of 5, you got some problems. You lose the first one at home in a 4 out of 7, you got time to recover. 3 out of 5, it's tough.
They've tried to make it a little harder for the wild card team to advance, with the 2 wild cards having to play each other, but it's still not that difficult for a wild card team to advance. And you can say, well, you know, boy, you're sure a hypocrite. I mean, the Royals were a wild card, but they advanced. Well, yeah, but they won 2 games on the road.
Yes.
But if any series should be a 7-game series, I would vote for that one. I mean, you should make it as hard as possible for the team that just barely gets in to advance against a team that did it all 6 months.
Agreed.
I think Bud Selig in his last season was pleased with how both wild cards made the World Series, and that's happened before too in his tenure.
Yeah, and look how many wild cards have been into the World Series. I mean, it's easier to win this game. You guys know this. It's easier to win when you're not supposed to. When you're the favorite, when you're supposed to win, there's more pressure. Pretty simple, really.
Base hit for Longoria. He's on with 2 outs.
Second baseman, number 11.
Well, it's going to be hard, I think, for any team in that first series to come into Kauffman Stadium with that atmosphere and be loose and easy. Would you guys agree?
I would agree wholeheartedly.
And you know, also that's why they're continuing to push to get their best record overall, so they can have home field. It's a great record to push for.
I mean, it was pretty loud in Anaheim. It was pretty loud in Baltimore, but it wasn't anything close to Kauffman Stadium. It was the closest to Kauffman Stadium was San Francisco, and it wasn't just because that was the World Series. Apparently, we don't go there very often. You did, HUD, more for interleague play with the Angels. That is more the norm. I mean, it's just a wild ballpark, but there was nothing like Kauffman Stadium.
Well, I will say this. I think that the wild card Royals of last year are a much better team than whoever the wild card team or teams are this year. I think there's a discrepancy now. Talent, just team concept, good team. Royals last year were a very good wild card team. I don't think you're going to see as good a quality a wild card team or teams this year. That's just my opinion.
Well, last year the Royals finished 16 games above 500 to go to the wild card. If the season ended today, your 2 wild card teams would be 14 games over 500 and 6 games over 500. So just from the record alone, your point is true.
Who's 14? Yankees?
Yankees.
Yeah, see, no Derek Jeter, no Mariano Rivera, Bernie Williams, long gone. It's not the same Yankee teams. They're just not as good. I'm sorry. We've seen them. And the Yankees played very well against the Royals in New York, or the Royals didn't play as well as they had been most of the year in New York. So is that going to be a tough matchup for the Royals? Maybe. The home field advantage, hey, take the Royals.
Out at second, and that is the inning. Thank you, Denny.
You're welcome.
Talk to you next Sunday.
Look forward to it.
We played 7. Tampa Bay leads 3-2.
Cam in St. Petersburg, and slugger in the house, and I think over my shoulder I hear Lorenzo Cain singing along as he often does. Panera takes us around the league. Toronto, the offense just keeps on putting up video game numbers. New York 8-2 over Atlanta. Minnesota and Houston just underway. Irvin Santana has really struggled of late, and Texas an early 2-0 lead on Baltimore. Our Mazda game break takes us to LA, or to Cleveland. Mike Trout lost this one in the sun at the last moment. That's going to lead to a RBI double for Carlos Santana. Good day at the plate for Mike Trout. 4 for 4, a couple singles, a double, and a triple. But a tough moment there in the field. After the game, we'll break it all down on Boulevard Royals Live here from Ned Yost and get you ready for the Tigers coming to the K, a long homestand, guys.
Okay, Joel. Alex Colomé stays on for a second inning to get Zobrist, Kane, and Hosmer in the 8th inning.
Got to try to figure out Colomé. He's looked good. Fastball, 91-96. Got a cutter, slider, combination, curve, and a change, and he's been hitting the spots. At least he did last inning.
On Zobrist. Drove in a run back in the 3rd inning. The Royals scored 2 in the 3rd and had a 2-1 lead. Tampa Bay tied it in the bottom of the 3rd and took the lead in the 6th on a home run by Kiermaier. Now 3 balls, 1 strike. James Loney is now at first base. Daniel Nava goes into left field. He was at first base. And a leadoff walk to Zobrist in a tie game in the 8th inning.
That's after 8 Royals batters in a row were retired, so maybe they can get something going off of the walk.
Take that back, a 1-run game, leadoff walk in the 8th inning. Our Data Strong fan of the game picture from Jason. Send in yours at hashtag KC Data Strong fan. You just might see it in an upcoming broadcast brought to you by T-Mobile. And Kane takes a strike. He drove in the other run back in the 3rd inning. Zobrist and Kane driving in Infante and Butera. The Royals have not scored since. Hard sliders in for a strike.
It's the pitch he's going to on Kane, at least early. Outfielders are deep. Longoria's not on the line at third base, but he's didn't want Kane to hit anything by him.
Got him to chase that slider down and away. Colomé's 2nd strikeout. Now Eric Hosmer, 1 for 3 with a couple of strikeouts. Our pitch-by-pitch sprint cuts of the game back in the 5th inning.
Yep, got him with a couple of hooks early, and then he froze him with a fastball. Now he's staying down. Haas is not expecting a fastball. That's 4 curves in a row, and there it was. Surprised him.
Down and away, ball 1.
Started Kane off with 2 sliders. And the first pitch here off speed to Haas. They're going to be real careful with that fastball, just like Carnes was.
Off speed again.
Yep. Doubled up with it. They know, and they've had some success against Hosmer in this series, so they're not giving him that fastball. They're going to stay with what's working, and those changeups, when they're executed down in that part of the zone, it don't matter who you are, you're going to miss them.
Base hit right field. Zobrist is going to make the turn. He's going to challenge Geyer's arm, and he is in there. And the tying run is at third base with 1 out.
Yeah, he went with a slider, and Haas was waiting for it. It was out over the middle of the plate, and because Geyer and the outfielders were playing so deep to play no doubles, that allowed Zobrist to get all the way to third base with no contest. See how you can look at the right fielder Geyer. He's on the warning track. So that ball's hit. He's got to come really in, come sprinting in hard. Zobrist had to wait till the ball got by him. Pressuring. First to third. Excellent base run.
Now Morales, our DraftKings players to watch for today included Kendrys Morales. He is 0 for 2 with a walk so far. Go to DraftKings.com, enter the promo code BRoyal to play daily fantasy baseball for free. On the ground to first, fair ball. Out at the plate. Morales never left the box. Kendrys Morales never left the box. And that is not reviewable.
Well, obviously Morales, he thought it was foul the whole way. It's the reason he didn't run.
Still got to run.
Yep.
Ford Cars and Trucks. Visit thoroughbredford.com. Long homestand begins on Tuesday. Royals have tomorrow off. Tuesday through Thursday, the Tigers. Next weekend, the White Sox. And the following week, Minnesota. 2 homestands and 2 road trips left after today. That's the end of the regular season. Chris Young, who pitched last night and took care of the end of the 7th inning and the 8th inning, will come back and pitch today with the Royals down by 1 in the 8th inning. James Loney will hit for the first time. Nick Moustakas just has enough room.
Well, that's a big out because Loney had been 4 for 4 as a pinch hitter this year. So he first pitch popped it up. That's a good break for Young. Let's see how Chris Young can do back-to-back outings here.
Number 13, Astros Cabrera.
We're trying to keep that arm loose, pitching in back-to-back days. And we told you last night when he came on that the Royals have just had a tough time getting him any innings at all. And this is just the 5th time he has pitched this month, going no deeper than an inning and a third. As Drupal Cabrera will bat for Tim Beckham. Cabrera started the first 2 games of the series at shortstop and was 2 for 7.
He's 0 for 4 as a pinch hitter.
Well, I don't see anybody with their hands in the air. That is an out.
He is out. I don't know what he was thinking. Maybe he catches interference or something. There was a reason why he didn't run, but he was stepping out of the box.
Called time maybe and didn't get it.
Well, that's on him. Umpire's got to grant time.
He didn't even have his hand in the air.
Well, I don't know.
And why would you swing?
Wow. Yeah. And he's calling time, but you know what? Still, you got to be granted time. Umpire can't hear you.
Wow. Why would you swing the bat? What was the count? The count was 0-1, right?
Yeah, I don't know. That's not the umpire's fault. It's Drupal Cabrera. He's in a fog.
Well, we've had an example of a couple of guys showing why you don't play umpire and the consequences of that. Morales in the top of the 8th, and now Cabrera in the bottom of the 8th. I just don't understand why, if you get time and you jump out of the box, why you would still swing the bat and take a swing like that, and then you take a swing like that and you don't run it out.
Yeah. No, haven't seen that one yet this year. You say time and you're looking at the pitcher, the umpire can't hear that. That is a pinch hit. You don't, that's your only time up. Wow, I understand why you even swung. You can take the pitch and you still got a chance. Oh well. Saw him and his manager goofing around or joking around after that in the dugout, so I guess the skipper's okay with it.
Two and two on Aaron Sebia. Backing out of play. Brad Boxberger ready to go in the top of the 9th inning. Kevin Kiermaier waits on deck. He had a ram drive of the game back in the 6th inning, and that's the difference in the game.
Yeah. Chamber trusted his cutter, and it just stayed out over the middle of the plate there.
And Aaron Arancibia strikes out, so 0 for 2 against his college buddy, and now Chris Young in his last 2 at bats. Young has a scoreless 8th. Boxberger is on for the 9th. By Miller Lite. Bobby Knight has put on Slugger's uniform. Yep. It was the Rays who invited Slugger to come to Tropicana Field for this series, and he and Raymond, the Rays mascot, have been entertaining the fans. Fans got a kick out of that. Slugger does that at Kauffman Stadium. Brad Boxberger will get Mike Moustakas, Paulo Orlando, and Omar Infante in the 9th inning.
Well, you take a look at that record up there, 4-9. Those 9 losses, those are the most losses of any reliever by 3 in baseball. Has 4 blown saves now, so he can be gotten to, and the Royals, they got to him before at the K this year earlier. Got a fastball 90 to 96. He cuts the fastball, curve, slider, and his changeup is the pitch he likes to go to.
Moustakas was left on deck in the 8th inning. The Royals had runners at 1st and 3rd and 1 out, and they had the man they wanted at the plate, Kendrys Morales. Morales grounded into a double play on a ball that he didn't run out. He hit a ground ball to first. Loney fielded the ball. Here's Cabrera now at shortstop. Loney fielded the ball. He came to the plate. Morales was just expecting somebody to call it foul. He stood in the box. Nobody did, and the Rays then completed a double play. And that left Moustakas on deck, who has been swinging the bat well, and the Royals have been piling up the runs with 2 outs.
Okay, we haven't seen this all year. Now Morales looking to hit a fly ball. He was a little over aggressive for swinging at the first pitch, and he never ran because he thought it was a foul ball. And then Rivera, the catcher, says, hey, look, I'll just take the easy out.
Hard hit. Cabrera bobbles, recovers. Second time Moustakas has hit it right on the button and out, and there's 1 down in the 9th inning. And now Paulo Orlando. Last time the Royals and the Rays played at Kauffman Stadium, Paulo Orlando had perhaps the biggest hit of his life at any level. And maybe we can predict it'll be the biggest hit of his life at any level. A walk-off grand slam against Boxberger in Game 1 of a day-night doubleheader.
It was a no-doubter. It was on a changeup. guess Boxberger will throw him a changeup here, although he could. But that's a pitch that speeds that hitter's bat up, and Paulo will never forget it, like you said.
Boxberger was drafted by the Royals out of high school. That was in the 20th round. But he had his heart set on going to the University of Southern California, where his father pitched. And I asked Brad about that. He said there was one conversation. Boxberger threw a number out there, and the Royals said, "Good luck, buddy."
That's right.
And he went to USC and eventually became a first-round pick of the Cincinnati Reds.
Now, Paulo called time there, but he did it earlier, and he got the umpire's attention.
Three and one.
There was a change up there, but he made sure that that was not anywhere near the plate.
Full count. Infante is on deck. Ned Yost also has Salvador Perez and Gerard Dyson on the bench.
Rivera's telling him, he's pointing out to right, get him to fly out to right. See, he did that 2 pitches in a row now. See what he calls for here. Fastball away.
And a bloop behind first. Loney out into foul ground and a sliding basket catch.
Well, he's going to catch just like a wide receiver would. Make sure that he has it in both hands, cradles it in. Big out.
Boxberger was an all-star this year, playing for Ned Yost in Cincinnati. Infante is 1 for 3 today with a run scored. Kevin Kiermaier's home run in the 6th inning is the difference as the Royals are down to their last out. Infante showing bunt. 1 ball, 1 strike. Infante has faced his pitcher twice. He has a single and a walk. Into center field. Kiermaier was deep, and he makes the play, and the Rays avoid the season sweep.